District 48 State Senator Mark Messmer says the controversy surrounding Senate Bill 309 has been overplayed. Hear more from him. Plus, Carrie Schneider has this week's visit with our friends at the DuBois County Humane Society, and Patty Ozer and Kelly Mitchell discuss the CSRS Disabilities Month tonight on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. We lead off with more winter weather heading our way over the next 24 hours or so. For more on what you can expect, here's a quick report from Southern Indiana Weather.com meteorologist Michael Wilhite.
Very heavy rain potentially with this, and then what we're going to have to watch out is as we transition into Wednesday for some colder air surging in. The question is going to be how fast does this colder air start to surge in. Here we are at 10 a.m. on Wednesday morning, and you're getting the freezing line getting close, cutting right through southern Indiana and narrowing in here on the Ohio River. And you start to see some sleet mixing in out to our west as you continue to put this into motion. There we go. By the time 1 p.m. hits, the high-res NAM starts to change us over to snow and sleet and freezing rain sort of all mixed in there, and then very quickly pushes that cold air surge south of us and keeps us at a large chunk of snow here, and the snow doesn't exit until the late overnight hours on Thursday. On Wednesday night into Thursday, according to this. Now, if this would be right, some mega snow totals could be possible. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I'm a bit skeptical of these mega snow totals. Here's the thing. Anytime, for number one, we see these mega snow totals come up in the modeling with, lots of winter storms all winter long, and they rarely verify. So that's the first thing to be skeptical. But number two, whenever you have a situation like this where you have plenty of moisture just sort of streaming in here with this colder air, you tend towards a potentially heavy sleet situation before you go to the all snow setup, and that's a real possibility. The models, I think, might be underplaying that a little bit, and some of these snow totals that you see here I think could easily be cut down given the fact that we'll probably have a significant amount of sleet mixing in.
Now, the National Weather Service in Louisville has put us under a winter storm watch beginning at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning and going until noon on Thursday due to this storm. The storm will then give way to cold temperatures on Thursday before it warms up into the 40s over this upcoming weekend. More later on in your local forecast. A Huntingburg man is behind bars after he threatened to shoot and kill his wife and mother-in-law. Just after 12:15 yesterday afternoon, DuBois County Sheriff's deputies were called about threats being made to the two women via cell phone. One of the women was found at her job in Jasper, and the other was in her vehicle driving through DuBois County when the threats were made. After getting a description of the vehicle, deputies identified the suspect as 25-year-old Donovan Cummings, Jr. Huntingburg police officers and sheriff's deputies later found and pulled over Cummings' vehicle at the intersection of 2nd and Van Buren Streets in Huntingburg. Cummings was taken into custody without incident. Authorities say Cummings had a felony conviction back in 2007 and thus did not have a permit to be carrying a handgun. Cummings was booked into the DuBois County Security Center. He is charged with 2 Level 6 felonies for intimidation and a Level 5 felony for carrying a handgun without a permit with a prior felony conviction. Cummings was initially held on $10,000 cash-only bond pending his court appearance, which took place earlier today. District 48 State Senator Mark Messmer says the fight over territory between cities and rural electric cooperatives has been blown way out of proportion. Senate Bill 309, which bans cities and towns from providing electrical service to areas that they annex, passed out of the Senate just a couple of weeks ago with little opposition, much to the delight of the RECs. However, cities and towns have cried foul, saying the bill would only hurt their chances for economic development. Messmer says that Senate Bill 309 is simply intended as a compromise between the two sides, rather than as something to fight over.
It just puts them on equal footing. Currently a municipality can say, we're going to take it and here's what you're going to get. And the REMC or the public utility could say, but that's not a reasonable reimbursement for those lost customers and infrastructure that we put in place. This just levels the playing field and puts them on an equal basis when those negotiations are going to take place. Currently for gas, water, or sewer, they have to be. Electrics have been exempted.
The main argument that communities and the Indiana Municipal Power Agency have used is that RECs already own 93% of the electrical territory in this state. However, Messmer says that argument doesn't account for available customers in said service area.
To me, that solidifies the argument for the REMCs. I mean, their customer per mile of electrical infrastructure, the more dense areas you take and the more industrial customers you take from the city, the more of those dense areas you take, the more you increase the cost for supporting the ones that are left.
DuBois REC General Manager Don Book has been pleased with the progress of the bill. He says the bill remains essential for DuBois and other RECs around the state to be viable into the future. The bill is still in the Indiana House, awaiting a vote. And finally tonight, though a silent auction is the biggest part of the effort to preserve the Mother of God grotto, it's hardly the only one. The auction, of course, got underway last Friday. 85 paintings from Father Thad Stutzko are being auctioned off to raise money to go towards preservation of the grotto, which stands outside the Cathedral Healthcare Center in Jasper. Irene Kopp has been leading the grotto preservation efforts. She says the grotto should stay the way it is, though the monument does need some work, such as cleaning up the geodes that are part of its structure and painting the statues out along Bartley Street. Kopp says most of that work will get underway this summer once temperatures warm up. Kopp says while the grotto would be preserved for the community, there could be future uses for it.
I would like to see the first communicants be the participants in the May crowning, and that's set for May 10th. It's not all in stone, need ends to tie together, but we would use all the first communicants in the area Catholic churches and let them be the crowner and the carrier and be a part of the May crowning.
Kopp also wants to work with the DuBois County Visitors Center to promote the grotto for tourists who visit DuBois County. She says the grotto is something that everyone should see. Kopp says there are also preservation options for the grotto available at the state level.
I want to get this on the Register of Historic Places, and it's old enough, and I want to get it placed on there. That's in the infancy stages, but that's where I'm headed with it, so I hope it all can materialize.
Kopp says she will be writing a book about the grotto, and she says that book will be based off of information that she came across while collecting the paintings for the auction, such as how the grotto was built and various molds that were used in its construction. The silent auction will continue through Sunday, March 15th, and final bids will be taken at 3 o'clock that afternoon at the DuBois County Museum. All right, coming up next, Carrie Schneider has our weekly report with our friends at the DuBois County Humane Society, and later on, more on the wild, wild winter storm and tonight's Inform on STIR's Disabilities Month. We're back after this.